Hi guys, today we'll be looking at testing different building typologies to combat urban heat and urban heat island using sky view factor within 3ds Max. So to start off with, you'll need to follow a tutorial on how to set up sky view factor within your 3ds Max environment. The link for that will be in the description. So this is the tutorial on how to set up sky view factor within 3ds Max. So now that we're back in 3ds Max, my testing will be based on the Footscray model that we looked at earlier in the video series. So to start off with, when we're testing sky view factor, we want to have some defined variables. So we'll look at the average block size for the Footscray area. So we'll do a rough measurement here. We'll get the length of the block there, 389, 98 meters. So we've got, we'll call it 390 by 100 meters block size. As we see, that's the average size of blocks in this area. So now we'll go across just to the side of our map and we'll draw up a 9 by 9 grid. So we're going to put some planes down and we'll just edit the length. So we had 390 by 100. Right, now that that's done, we'll just break up the segments. So the length segments will break up into 15 by 4 we'll go with. We'll clone it as an instance as we want all the cloned objects to be referenced from this original plane that we've put down. So click OK there and we'll move that across. So based on the size of standard street width between blocks from the model, we had roughly 30 meters. So we'll use that as our gapping between the planes that we're putting down as a grid here. So I'll just quickly set up the 3x3 grid of 9 blocks. Alright, so now that we've got our standard block size set up, we can make all of these editable polys. So we go convert editable poly. So now all these are able to be edited based on their polygons that sit within the segments. So if we drop down the menu here in the modifiers list and we click on polygon, select all these polygons, and then if we click move, if we move them on this, they're moving on all 9. So now that we know they're all linked and they've been cloned correctly, we'll select a series of polygons to create an urban form. So I'm going to select polygons that resemble the Barcelona city block typology. So we're just going to do the outer polygons. Now we're going to go out to the 3D view so we're able to see what's happening. and we'll extrude it to, we'll say 20 meters. So now that we have all the blocks extruded, we can run a render on this. We'll maximize this viewport here and we'll center the testing. So if we just go to render, we'll be able to see the sky view factor being performed on this test. As you can see, it's coming up as green and blue in most of it, so we might need to add a base plane as well as changing the color of the geometry in order for it to get a better render result. So we'll go back. Alright, now we'll be able to go back into the orthographic view, we'll maximize the viewport and run the render once more. So basically what we're able to see is red is good in sky view factor color scheme and blue is bad. So the sky view factor is the percentage of sky to building ratio that we see when we look directly up from the ground looking towards the sky. So obviously all the surrounding red area has no blockage from building forms, but if you look between the streets, we're seeing that it's blue, which means it has a much more poor sky view factor than when we would be in open space such as a rooftop. That's taking into consideration the building forms that are blocking the sky view factor dome from these positions between the building forms. So now that we've seen that a traditional urban format is not successful with the sky view factor analysis, we'll try it with a more modern / futuristic approach where we'll have similar volume of building mass but a much taller building with a smaller ground footprint. So we'll try that now. There's a much better sky view factor percentage between buildings now when we've flipped the typology. So instead of having the buildings circulating the outside of the block, we've gone with those inner cutouts where the building mass was not present in the last test. And instead we've done high-rise buildings in the vacant part of those blocks. So that was just a tutorial showing you how to test typologies using sky view factor in order to influence your building design and urban format design. Hope this was helpful and thank you for listening.